what's happening here is that you have a government police force that is driving around in unmarked cars, wearing masks, and kidnapping people on the street, ran completely indiscriminately based on the color of their skin, and people are frustrated by that. Donald Trump is underwater on immigration by negative 12% on his tentpole best issue. People are frustrated. So I think the administration should consider changing its position here on what it's doing, because these cities are tired of being terrorized. These communities are tired of being terrorized. And after what happened this week, they need to reevaluate how they're handling these situations.
Corey, is there any sense of reevaluation inside the administration, you think?
Oh, there absolutely is, Leland. It's called double down. It's called the people of these communities deserve to be safe and secure and not be subjected to the crimes that illegal immigrants continue to perpetuate against Americans. You can go back and you can talk to all the families that have been victims of people who've been in this country illegally. Donald Trump ran on a platform to rid our communities of these individuals who aren't supposed to be here. Some say as many as 20 million illegals have poured into the country under the Biden administration, and President Trump is going to fulfill the campaign promise to return those people to their home countries.
Well, if neither side backs down, Mike, how does this end?
Well, I just want to say it's a classic response from a MAGA Donald Trump supporter, which is people say, hey, everything's too expensive because of the tariffs. What do? They double down on the tariffs. Hey, people are frustrated with these illegal actions in Venezuela and Donald Trump getting us involved in more foreign wars instead of doing anything to help improve the American people's life. What do? They double down. They're going to do the same thing on immigration here. They're going to double down on bad failed policies that people didn't vote for. What they should be doing is continuing to secure the border, removing people who have committed violent offenses. And stop
the
this.
border is secure, Mike. Mike, the border's secure. This Trump administration hasn't released one illegal in almost a year. You can't say the same under the Biden administration. The border is secure. We have tactical control of the border. People aren't coming here anymore. And the 20 million illegals who are in this country have an option. We will pay them to leave. They can go back to their homes, their home communities. They can get on a plane. This administration will pay them for it. But to stay in this country illegally, continue to perpetrate crimes against Americans is not acceptable.
But Corey, the American people don't want this. They don't want like unmarked cars and masked ICE agents traveling across the country.
But here's the better question. Yeah. Do the American people, though, want people fighting with law enforcement and surrounding law enforcement and fighting with them and trying to beat them up and standing outside hotels that have a lot of people besides ICE in them, if ICE is even there, terrorizing the rest of the community? Do the American people really want law enforcement called Nazis? I think that it seems as though the left has the same problem the right does, if you're saying the right has a problem with extremism.
No, look, the American people want this madness to end, but the madness doesn't end until the Trump administration gets back to some common sense on how they're going to handle immigration reform. Need I remind you that they've actually deported fewer people in his first year than Barack Obama did, and Barack Obama didn't have protests all across the country, didn't have masked ICE agents who were kidnapping people. So there's a right way and a wrong way to do this. Corey wants to hang his hat on the border being secure. It's a good thing. I don't have any problem with that. I'm not going to criticize the Trump administration on that. What I will criticize them on is creating fear and chaos in our streets. And the situation with this shooting this week with this tragic shooting, it happened because ICE escalated the situation. They made it worse, and they did it because they're untrained and they're overzealous and they're conducting a mission that doesn't make sense that the American people don't want.
Corey, optics.
It's just not true, Leland.
No, listen, I understand. I understand. There's the facts. There's perception. There's reality. Most Americans see what happened in Minneapolis. They don't think that woman is a terrorist. They also think that driving a car and an ICE agent probably is going to get you shot. And I'm wondering which side here is going to show leadership.
Look, Leland, our officers have seen a 3,200% increase in vehicle rammings against them, 8,000% increase in death threats against our officers, a 1,300% assault increase against our officers over the last year. Can you imagine if a federal judge had the same thing taking place in his courtroom? He would clear the courtroom. This would never be tolerated. These are federal police officers doing their jobs, and we see a 1,300% assault increase against our federal officers and a 3,200% increase in vehicle rammings. No wonder there's chaos in the streets, because these professional agitators are trying to prevent law enforcement from doing their jobs. This would never be tolerated. It wouldn't be tolerated at the local level. It wouldn't be tolerated at the municipal level. And it sure isn't going to be tolerated at the federal level.
Mike, I'm going to give you the last 30 seconds, but Corey makes a point. The American people do not like to see law enforcement beat up and hurt and targeted.
And I don't either. I don't think anybody should lay their hands on a cop, whether they're an ICE agent, even if I disagree with what they're doing. It's just the same thing with January 6th.
But that's what Democratic politicians are calling for, Mike.
No, that's not what they're calling for. They're calling for people to protect their communities. No Democratic politician has called for you to put your hands on an ICE officer. And I want to remind you, the woman who was killed this week was driving away from the officer, escalated the situation, and that was wrong.
Well, she was instructed to get out of the vehicle. She refused a lawful order. She was about to be arrested, and she fled the scene.
He was given conflicting orders by different ICE agents, Corey. Hold on, that isn't true. Based on the eyewitness testimony, the ICE agents gave her. No, hold on. The ICE agent.
Hold on, fellas. I just want to get back to where.
One ICE agent told her to get out of the car, but another one told her to leave.
We got what's happening in the video that happened 3 days ago, and now we have what's happening here. I want to get back to Brian real quickly on the ground. Brian, you're hearing this debate between Corey and Mike, and I'm wondering from the perspective of those on the streets that it may not really matter, right? That they don't want anybody deported no matter what they've done or why they're here or how it's done. They, as you pointed out, wanted to create autonomous zones.
Yeah, that's right. And honestly, I couldn't hear the debate too well because it's so loud out here, Leland. But yeah, I'll just want to make sure they're not actually going in the hotel. But I don't think that there's any middle ground for the people here. I think they want ICE to leave Minneapolis. They don't want to see any deportations. And it's just kind of interesting. I'm wondering if the people in the hotel are calling the police, wondering what's happening and if they're going to come out here because the hotel is surrounded. And we're in downtown Minneapolis. I mean, we're right in the middle of downtown, and the police are not going to come. I mean, the police are not here, and they are not coming, which is just kind of an interesting reality.
Mike, I don't understand how Democrats think that this is an image that helps them, and the idea that the Minneapolis police have taken a huge step back. What American looks at Minneapolis and Minnesota and says, yeah, I want this in my city too?
Well, who's bringing the chaos to the cities, though? It isn't these protesters. It's the federal government who has marshaled all of this fear and chaos, and they've made the situation worse everywhere they've gone, while, by the way, deporting fewer people. It's been a very inefficient and chaotic strategy, and people don't want this. That's the end of it.
So the people who are in that hotel, so they assume there's ICE officers in that hotel. We don't know there are families in that hotel. You don't think they're afraid? You don't think that they deserve local police to come and clear that area? Can you imagine, Mike, if you were there with your family and asked and wanted to go out onto the street and were attacked by these professional agitators? Where's the local police? Why wouldn't they step up and clear this area and make a safer community? Because ICE may or may not even be inside that location? You think that's okay?
Corey, nobody has attacked anybody in this image. Nothing that I've seen here is attacking. Now, they're protesting, and that's their right to protest. I probably wouldn't agree with necessarily standing outside of a hotel room and bothering people like this, but they're protesting, and that's their right. But the reason they're protesting is because the Trump administration continues to pursue bad immigration policy that causes fear and chaos in our cities. People don't want it. I agree. ICE should get out of Minneapolis. They should get out of Chicago. They should get out of every city that they don't belong in. And then we can work together to figure out how to remove violent criminals.
You can't say, you're really saying that you think federal law enforcement should just leave cities because the cities don't like the laws? Come on.
It's not that they don't like the laws.
Which federal law enforcement can stay? Can the DEA stay? Can the FBI stay? Which federal law enforcement will you allow to operate in these communities? Which ones are okay with you? None?
Well, which are the ones that are driving unmarked cars, wearing masks, and grabbing people off of the street? Because that's not the FBI.
All of them.
My father was a 34-year veteran of the FBI, and he never had to wear a mask to do his job, Corey.
So there are no joint terrorism task force together that are doing things. They're not working together with all the federal agencies to make sure that we're stopping known as suspected terrorists.
Okay, so, gents, I hate to do this because this is the conversation of our time, but I got to take a quick break. Brian Enton's going to stay with us. Corey, Mike, excellent discussion. Thank you both.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.